Hey guys, and welcome to Dan-gler Sea Fishing. Tonight I'm fishing in Bembridge and I'm asking the question, can you catch flounder at night? So let's get fishing. Daddy's going fishing. This fish is huge. Look at the size of this fish. But that is why you go fishing. So guys, as I said, I am in Bembridge tonight. I'm in an area of Bembridge Harbour that has been producing quite a few flounder this year. Now, the question I want to ask is, can you catch flounder at night? Because if you look online, most of the videos you will see is people fishing during the day. Now, the only flounder I caught last year, I caught at night. So I did a bit of research, and as it turns out, flounder are actually feeding more at night than they do during the day. So why does everyone go out during the day? So obviously one of the reasons is the fact it's a species that you can catch in the winter during the day. So that encourages people to go out of that. The other thing is flounder are a sight feeder. So because they're a sight feeder during the day, it can make them easier to catch. Now at night, they change the way that they feed. They come in a lot closer. They are far more aggressive with the way that they feed. And obviously they do a lot more on scent rather than sight. But with the sight thing in mind, you can still fish for them at night using sight. Some people use lights, but what I'm going to be using is I've got what I've used before, which is the Tronix Pro hook balls, which are a soft ball that you can put on your trace after it's made, so you don't need to sort of add these before. You can add them to any trace, and I just hook them on there. They're not a floaty bead. These are a bead that sits on the bottom. So I am using a 3-hook flapper, and what I've done is I've put the glowy beads on the top hook. The reason I've used the top hook is because I want the attraction up there, but I sort of want to draw the fish in, and the most likely place that I'm going to get the flounder is on the bottom hook. So I'm fishing fairly close in, and I'm fishing tide up at the moment. So we've got about an hour of high tide here, and then I'm fishing the ebb for the rest of the night. So because we're just coming up for the top of the tide, I'm fishing one right over to my left. There's some bit of structure around there. Hopefully there should be something playing around down there. And there's also a light that's on that water all the time. So I think that might sort of encourage some fish there. The other one, I have literally just dropped in on the little bank that is just flooding in front of me. Reason I've done that is the flounder do come in a lot closer when it's dark. So there is no real reason to cast. But I am doing something a little bit different to what I normally do because I have some new reels. I've got Penn Surfblaster 3s. I've got them loaded up with 40-pound whiplash. Now, 40-pound is a little bit excessive for this, but I've already preloaded them. But the 40-pound whiplash is only 1.2 mil thick, so it's not like it's really going to affect it. So the rods I'm using for tonight is I've got my C6 low diameter, and then I've also got a new rod which is a different rod to me, but I can't tell you what that is at the moment, but hopefully in time I will be able to tell you. Oh, that was a bite.
Oh, that is as well.
that is literally just in there. Yeah, it's so close, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. School bus. Wow, there we are guys. Fish first cast in about, well, it says 14 minutes since I started the camera, so it's less than that, so maybe 10 minutes, but little school leader start just in the edges there. Anyway, I'm going to get this guy back and then we're going to see what else we can find. That was a bite on the other one. That looked a slightly different bite. Well, there we are. Christened the new rod with a bass. Probably not the size that I would care to admit, but it was a fish first cast on the new rod. So I'm gonna get this guy back and see if we can find something a bit better. Well, there we are. A fish on each rod from the first cast within the first 20 minutes. I don't mind a busy session, but it's better than a blank, definitely, and it's better than a conger eel. I quite like the little schoolies, apart from they're horrible to hold. So the only bait I'm using tonight is ragworm. Reason for that is because I am targeting flounders, that's all I need. I would use lugworm as well if I had the option, but I couldn't get hold of some at this particular day, so ragworm it is. So with this venue, it's a spit that comes out onto the edge of a harbour. Then you've got the harbour, and then you've got the mouth that comes out near St Helens Bay. It is fairly deep in the little channel that sort of comes out of the main harbour, but then it's sort of shallow, sort of mud and sand off to the edges. So the areas I'm looking for the flounder is in these edge areas at the moment. Because we're on a flooding tide, the flounder tend to come out and they will feed out in those areas looking for worms and stuff. As the tide starts to ebb, they will come all the way back and they will sort of head towards where those deeper channels are, and they will sort of hang around in there until the tide starts flooding back in.
But a lot of things like that is word of mouth as well, though, isn't it?
Oh, there's a nice little bite on the green one.
They'll definitely show it off then, won't it?
Yeah. Ah, there we are, guys. A little dogfish. I mean, that's 3 fish in 3 casts, so I'll take that. That's not bad. Wasn't expecting to get one of these this close into the harbour, especially as we've had a lot of rain today. I thought it might put off some species and you'd only really get the ones that are quite used to a bit more brackish water. But anyway, I'm going to get this guy back and we'll see if we can find some more. So now that the tide is starting to recede, what will happen is the flounder that are out in the edges will start to work their way back to the central little reservoirs that are in the middle of the water. So as this tide starts receding, I'm going to start pushing my rigs closer towards that central channel. Oh, look at that. Not one bass, but 3. Oh, I've got a triple shot of bass. Ah, don't get that every day, a triple shot of bass, I'll take that. 1 bass, I'm gonna go pop him back. 2 bass and 3 bass. So I've just moved my rigs a bit more centrally and a little bit further out. When you are fishing harbours, estuaries, rivers, it is worth adjusting depending on where that tide is moving, because what you've got to think of is where the bait is moving, and that's where the fish are going to move to. So as the tide draws out, it's going to draw that water towards that central channel, and as it draws that water towards the central channel, any of those bait and food and everything, that's going to drift that way as well. So the fish are naturally going to migrate towards that area. Oh, there we go. Well, I think that might be my smallest one of the night. Anyway, I'm going to get this guy back and see if we can find a better fish than that. Now, because the tide's going out a bit, I think I might move around towards the point a little bit more. Gives me a little bit more access to some more open water. And I think it's probably where the fish are moving to. Well, there we are, another little bass. A little bit bigger this one, but not overly massive. Anyway, I'm gonna get this little schoolie back, and yeah, he went on the little glowy leads, which is quite interesting. The little glowy balls, so I'll see if we get any more on there. Well, I managed my first fish on the point. There is still a few fish around. Not finding those flatfish though. I mean, maybe there's some logic in maybe you should only go fishing for flounder during the day. Well guys, I may not have been able to find a flounder, not just yet anyway, but I have managed to find a much better bass. I mean, he's not overly massive, but he is 44 centimetres, so he's I would say about £2, something along them lines. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice little fish to christen the new rod with. And I'm going to get this guy back, and then I'm going to see what else I can find. Anyway, lovely fish. And another little bass on the other one. I get this guy back and then get some more leads out. I haven't got my light on the camera today, just because I'm not quite set up as I normally am. But I've been using my baiting needle for baiting up today. Main reason is because they are size 1 hooks. Just makes it a lot neater. I will try and put it up in another video of me sort of baiting up and everything, but I was expecting it to be really wet tonight, so had all the shelter and everything out. As it turns out, it's hardly rained. But the fishing's been alright. Well, for me at least. But as for videos not quite going to plan, this one's quite enjoyable because at least it is something being played by strap conger or anything. Okay. Lots of bass. Let's get a photo, okay? Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it? So guys, what I've got here is a silver eel. As you can see, it's greeny in colour, different to the congers, much smaller in size, but these do travel into freshwater. But these are actually an endangered species in the UK because of the way that our waterways are, and there's a lot of their routes have been blocked. These little fish have become a bit of a rarity. Luckily, we get some areas on the island that can be quite good for these species. This is one of them because it's got the nice fresh water out there into the harbour. But they're a bit of a nightmare because when they do bite, quite a lot of the time they swallow a hook trace and they can tangle it up like a normal eel. But luckily, this guy was quite good hooked, and he's actually in really nice condition. He's a lovely green colour, this one. I don't know if you quite make it out on the camera there, but as you can see, much smaller head than a conger and much smaller mouth, but just as slimy and just as twisty. Anyway, I'm going to get this guy back and see if we can get a couple more fish before the end. So we're getting towards the end of the night. So what I'm doing now is I'm just bulking up. So rather than just putting one worm on the end of the hook, I'm just putting a couple just to sort of bulk it out, just to see if we can get a little bit of extra scent trail out there. Sometimes that can produce a slightly better bass. And weirdly enough, when I had my flounder last year, it was when I did a bulk load of ragworm. It was on a 2.0 pulley pennel as well, which is even weirder. Maybe I just caught a mutant fish, I don't know. But it would tip off my night if we could manage to find one. So when I like to bulk these up, what I like to do is sort of have one on my my baiting needle, and then sort of thread sort of 2 or 3, and I'm just sort of squishing them up like that, so they've still got sort of a wriggly tail off the side. Does just mean that when you get a bite, you just need to wait a little bit longer, just in case it's sort of a false bite from the from them nipping the tail off. Ooh. Slack limey, this one.
Again?
Said slack limey, that one. Yeah.
By mistake in that one.
And another schoolie. I don't think I'm getting my flounder, but I haven't brought in all my baits yet, so let's get this guy back. Well, I'm still getting a little bite on that green one. Wonder if we can finish this night on another little bass. Reverse psychology. I really want a flounder. I don't think it's a flounder. But I am packing up now. I will bring that in, and if there is a bass on it, I'll show you at the end. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I tried to experiment and see if you know, I could find some nighttime flounders just to prove that they can be caught at night as well as during the day. Unfortunately, I've seemed to have failed on that front tonight, but I have had a pretty good evening. I've been pretty busy. I mean, the fish haven't been amazing, but I've had 3 different species and a nice little bass, and that beautiful silver eel. Just sort of made a nice little start to 2026, really. So yeah, anyway, if you are enjoying my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you then.
It's all packed up, the lines are in, the tide has turned, the day's grown thin. So hit that sub, you won't want to miss, 'cause Dan-gler will be back again to catch more fish.
Oh, Neil, could you, oh, it's all right, it's folded up.